Hello and welcome back to Sell Your Squad, a Shutter Sports podcast series. The show where sports fans sell me and you on their favourite teams. I'm your host, Austin Terry, joined today by...
Eli Pearl.
Now, what squad will you be selling me today, Eli?
I'm going to be selling you the greatest MLB franchise of all time, the St. Louis Cardinals.
So, a little bit of backstory. Why did you become a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals?
3-year-old Eli was in Jupiter, Florida, and he went and saw his first baseball game. The Cardinals happened to be playing, and he hasn't changed his mind ever since.
St. Louis doesn't have a lot of sports teams anymore, so it's kind of in rarefied air right now. Okay, so now that we know what we're working with, this is how the show works. Eli will have 5 2-minute timed yap sessions where they can say either whatever they want about their team, followed by a question period where we dive a little deeper into their takes and lightly fact check whatever biased propaganda they may share. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. What is your first point to sell me?
So let's start in the now. Mm-hmm. The St. Louis Cardinals weren't a playoff team. I'll be real with you. But they showed improvements from last year. They were above 500 baseball team this year. And since the 90s, they have never had 2 years in a row where they were below 500. You're always going to watch them win at least 50% of their games. And in a 162-game season, that means you're getting 81 games at least to watch your team win. That gives you the opportunity to have that good time, to see your team succeed, even if they're not making the playoffs. Second, within that current form, they have young studs on the team. We saw rookie shortstop Mason Wynn on an absolute tear. OPS above 700, one of the best defensive players in the league at shortstop. That man can whiz the ball across the field. We also saw a great performance from, Alec Burleson. Burleson also had an incredible year. I believe he's going into his third year, and he was mashing the ball. He was a great guy to see, and both of them have set their base, and they can only go up from where they are now. Mm-hmm. Jordan Walker, he was supposed to be our next big guy. He had a down year. He's still been up and down between the minors, but that still lets us see that he has what it takes sometimes to be in the major leagues. He just hasn't put all the pieces together. I'm not ready to call Walker a bust. I believe he will still get to that next level.
All right, that's great. I did also forget, Finn, were you timing that?
I was timing that.
Okay, good. Okay, I forgot to tell you. Okay, I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. And so what is your second point to bring me up on?
Let's look into next season. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals made the decision of signing a bunch of old pitchers to get through the year. They allowed fans to see those wins that we saw, but the average age of the Cardinals pitching staff was roughly 35 years old. Now, Sonny Gray had an incredible year for them, easily their best starting pitcher. He's on the trading block. So that already allows us to get more players in. Probably draft picks aren't quite as important. It's in baseball, but it allows us to get minor leaguers. He's a great trading piece. And the other aspect is Lance Lynn and Miles Michaelis, 8 innings. They let the bullpen stay healthy. They just kept this team in there. And further into that, Ryan Helsley was the MLB league leader in saves. He was the second best closer in baseball next to Emmanuel Clase. If this team wants to break their team apart, they're already at a great stage where they'll get minor league guys. They'll gain pieces. And the other thing is, Paul Goldschmidt, one of the greatest first basemen in the league, 2022 MVP, multi-time Silver Slugger, on the cusp of being a Hall of Famer, I'd say. Maybe he's not quite there, but he's at least the Hall of Very Good. His contract is expiring. They're not expected to re-sign him. That opens up a lot of cap space for the team. That lets us sign good young players. That gives us the money to spend. And this year is great for free agency. It's going to be important to see what they do with that money. Again, Nolan Arenado, he's their second or first most or highest paid contract. His contract's expiring soon. He's been great for the team. But the combo of him and Goldschmidt couldn't take us to the next level. So I'm excited to see whether they keep him until the end of his contract or trade him. But the team has things opening up. And with a year,
There it is. That was. I'm picking up what you're putting down as a wise Nolan Bloor would like to say. That was actually. I like that part. You guys are kind of in a spot where it's you need to do something, but you have options on what you can do. It isn't a forced rebuild or it isn't a forced win now. It's you have options and time to do it. So that brings us up on number 3. What is your third point?
So I've touched upon the now, but let's break it down to the past. The Cardinals have the second most World Series championships all time, next to the Yankees. Who wants to root for the Yankees unless you're from New York? Those fans have passion, but they're just not nice people. And we see the Yankees logo as fashion, and we see the Yankees logo everywhere, and it just makes you want to hate them even more. So you go to the next greatest team. It's the St. Louis Cardinals. We have the second most Hall of Famers all time, next to the Yankees. We have that history. Bob Gibson, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, they had to change rules because of him. Also, what most people don't know, one of the greatest two-way athletes of all time. That man played for the Harlem Globetrotters and is a Hall of Fame pitcher. How can you not love that? We go into guys like Stan Musial, one of the best hitters of all time. Like, we have that historic factor. And then we go into the 2000s, and we saw Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, and Albert Pujols. Two of them, they're going to be Hall of Famers. We know that already. And even if Adam Wainwright doesn't make the Hall of Fame because he's missing some of those numbers, him and Molina hold records that have already been put in the Hall of Fame because how impressive they are. You look back to the history of the Cardinals, and they're just a likable team that you can root for. At some points, they weren't the best team in the league. They still won a World Series. They were the underdogs. They always put a good field on the team, and it's never embarrassing to be a St. Louis Cardinals fan.
That's very, very good as well. So bringing us up on number 4. Are we at 4 now? Yeah, I think so.
Let's talk rivalries.
Okay.
The Cubs, the Pirates, the Reds, the Brewers, all in their division. So many great rivalries to watch there. You go to Wrigley, you're going to see Cardinals jerseys when it's a Cubs-Cardinals series. You go to St. Louis, you go to Busch Stadium, and you're going to see the rivalry. It feels like the Cardinals have so many rivals throughout the league because they're such a well-fandomed, is that even a word? Team. There's that sense of community. I was in Toronto. I was sitting right behind their bullpen in my Cardinals jersey. Loads of Cardinals fans around me. And we're all chatting. We're all talking about our favorite players. We're talking about how we think the coaching staff. And this is on a down year. We're talking about the guys we love, even when they might not be performing to their highest. Cardinals fans have that sense of community. And furthermore, the players see that sense of community. I was in the bullpen. I had multiple bullpen guys throw me up a ball. I had coaching staff throw me up a ball. And they smile at you. They like that they see these fans everywhere. And if you go to any baseball stadium and the Cardinals are playing, you're going to see a Cardinals jersey. Mm-hmm. That sense of camaraderie has always been there with this team.
That's great news. And you're doing a really, really good job at it. As someone who doesn't know too much about baseball, it's sounding like a great franchise to be a part of because it isn't too... to like, oh, we've been the best team forever, or to like, Washington Wizards of we stink.
I think my levels have been a little too high, so we're going to back the mic up.
No offense, Finn. Love you though. Okay, I'll give you your last section. What are you? What is your closer?
So we saw in previous postseason series, even if the Cardinals have been out, we see their players succeed. And as much as that hurts that they've made bad trades, we see these players doing well. We saw Randy Arozarena win an MVP in a playoff series. We then saw Adolis Garcia, and most recently we've seen Tommy Edman do it. All 3 of those guys are homegrown. All 3 of them came up through the minor league systems of the Cardinals, showing how good those systems are, even if management made the wrong moves. we haven't had our best years recently. But in the past, that same system has brought us to the World Series. I brought up guys like Albert Pujols. I brought up guys like Yadier Molina. These are two future Hall of Famers that came up through the series, brought championships to the city of St. Louis, something the Blues certainly can't do right now. Mm-hmm. It allows St. Louis to have that fandom. And those Molina and Pujols were so pivotal to this city. October 4th and October 5th in the city of St. Louis are Yadier Molina Day and Albert Pujols Day because of their numbers 4 and 5. Furthermore, we saw guys like Albert Pujols leave the Cardinals to go get that bag from the Angels. He had a good season there, but he struggled there. And we then saw the Cardinals pay old man Albert Pujols to come back to the team despite having down years. And he went on an absolute tear, getting over 20 home runs, pushing him to 700 home runs all time, something people didn't think he could do that season. That shows what the Cardinals can do, that a player wanted to come back and that he performed at such a high level once he came back. And then we see a guy like Molina. He stayed with the Cardinals his entire career, already back on the coaching staff. They're just likable, and there's something going on in that organization that's so right.
Mm-hmm. There we are. That is the timer. And I feel like you see a lot in sports. Players will leave, get their money, but it's also a lot of the time the grass isn't always greener. And I feel like St. Louis there was a perfect example of that. The questions I did have throughout, you seem to cover every single time with your next topic. So I'd like to know, what is the ballpark like? What is it called? What is it?
I haven't had the privilege of going to Busch Stadium. It's a dream of mine. But first of all, we're Busch Stadium. The Busch family still owns the team. Mm-hmm. It's the beer brand, but we're not corporate sellouts. We're not the Rogers Center. We're not named after an insurance company. The team, the name of the stadium is the owners of the team, and it's beautiful. You have the arch in the background. It's open roof. It's supposed to be incredible at the ballpark. A true ballpark, not a stadium. Rogers Center.
So, how old because baseball's a very old game. How old are the Cardinals? Were they there since kind of not? It has a complicated history. I know that about baseball, but from was it there from the start, or was it an expansion team? What was it?
The Cardinals have been around for quite some time. I believe Memphis is where they began. Here, let's fact check. Let's fact check me quickly.
Gotcha.
I believe they had a Negro League team, and I believe they started in Memphis as the Redbirds, which is now their AAA organization.
Mm-hmm.
History.
Yeah. Well, let's go history. I didn't know if we're looking for a exact thing.
We'll cut this part here.
1870. No, start date 1919. It says, but could be wrong. Oh no, there's St. Louis the entire time, I think.
Okay, so I've been put in my place slightly. I forgot that they were the St. Louis Browns at one point, not the Cardinals. But some of my information was still right there. I was told last second that I'd be doing this, and I didn't come with any notes. This is what true fandom's about.
Yeah.
It's about being able to yap about your team out of your ass with no preparation.
Just having a full-blown conversation about it. It's I don't like the feel of having point set notes of things. Like, it should be authentic. You should just know what you want to put forward about your team. Also, how do you get back to the thing on here? Why was a Derek Media there? Oh, I think that's left. Yeah, there we are. Okay. So, I would like to say I haven't been fully sold. It's a very good sell. Because
what's left to sell you, Austin Terry?
I just have to weigh it up against Tampa Bay because my American teams are usually Tampa borrow this.
Tampa, no fans, an empty stadium, sadly now a ripped apart stadium.
Oh.
There's talks of moving them almost every year, and your fan base doesn't go to the games.
Yeah, that's the only problem. Several.
You have the now, you do not have the then.
Yeah. I'd have to weigh it up. But I think we'll wrap it up there. I'll do some research off screen, and if you see me wearing a Cardinals hat or something down the line, you'll know what happened. So this has been Sell Your Squad, a Shot Sports podcast series. Be sure to let us know in the comments or on X at Shot Sports M whether or not you were sold on the St. Louis Cardinals by Eli. I'm Austin Terry, and this is
Eli Pearl.
and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Arr, arr, arr.